I think I got this. I think I got Brett Sutherlin here with me tonight, and it is a pleasure. Welcome to Live Talk with Becky Chernek, and it's all about auto business today. And again, it is a pleasure to have you come on tonight. So I'm hoping that we are. It looks like I may have some problems here. No, I may or may not have some problems here with LinkedIn. I'm hoping that LinkedIn that we are on, and it looks like that we are. So, okay, great. Anyway, so Brett, it is a pleasure to have you with me tonight. You are an exceptional guest speaker. You are the owner, CEO of the Sutherlin Automotive Group, and a very successful entrepreneur as well, founder of Auto Fusion, as well as Lead Revenue. And I think that you certainly have earned your wings as a dealer principal, owner, CEO of Sutherlin Automotive Group, in that your father, George Sutherlin, was a dealer principal and in the automotive industry well over 50 years and had as many as 60 new car franchise stores. So I will say this, I met your father back in 1997. So I am dating myself here. 1997 at the AutoNation mega stores and in Alpharetta, Georgia. And I was working with JM&A at the time. And we're implementing this menu selling. And I'm not sure if he was I don't know what he was. He was a vice president. He was he was something, DVP, whatever. And so he had recently sold his stores to AutoNation. But one thing I will say is that the Sutherlin Automotive Group had a serious reputation, strong desk, as well as strong F&I department. And I got to tell you, I was very impressed by him. And so I'm going to talk to you about, first, to get this thing going. What about menu selling? Because I know that when I was there with JM&A, we were kicking off some of these stores. I did not have your store. I had Gene Evans Ford. I had Steve Raymond, to name a few. And it was kind of tough going with menu selling at the time. How easy was it for you guys to adapt to menu selling?
It was pretty easy. We were one of the ones that stood out from the crowd and adopted it. And I think that's one thing that's led to continued success in F&I and the F&I numbers that we're currently running in all our stores right now.
I've got some people here to say hello to you already, because I know you're a superstar and everybody wants to be here with you. So Larry, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Larry Feldman, thank you for being here as well. And you're okay now. Okay, I was worried because I was getting this alert that something was going on there with LinkedIn. I'm like, oh, that figures. Okay, so good evening, Mike Thompson. I'm glad that you're here. And Anthony Santangelo, thank you again for being on here with us tonight. Pleasure to have you. So you're saying you guys thought that you did pretty well with the menu selling.
Correct. Yeah, we adopted it pretty early, even really right before the transition to AutoNation. So yeah, it was something that has worked very, very well for us, obviously. And we're going back decades right now, so it's a long time ago.
Well, because the reason why I'm doing that is that it was decades. It was 20 years ago. I don't know, maybe 25 years ago. But the reason I'm doing this is because a lot of stuff is going on right now in the industry. I mean, I feel like that's where we're at almost right now, with all the changes that are going on in this industry. So, getting into that, first and foremost, well, before I get there, oh, wow, here it comes. Here it comes. Hi, Becky. This is a great show. And thanks to Brett. I tell you, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. David Collins, thank you again for being on. I appreciate it. So that being said, I have seen your posts. I've watched you. I have watched your videos and your polls. And I got to tell you, I think you're pretty down to earth. I think you call it the way you see it. And so I was like coming after you, frankly, I mean, for the past, I don't know, few months. And I'm like, Brett, would you be interested to be on this live talk with me? I would love to have you. And finally, get a chance to get you on here. So thank you very much for finally saying yes.
Of course.
So yeah. So here's the thing. So I think our show tonight is really going to be special because I think you're going to tell it the way you tell it the way it is. So in this new car volume thing going on right now, how do you see it? I mean, are we going to continue with ordering these cars online? Are dealers starting to get more inventory? And this is a double prong question. So does that mean that if in fact customers are ordering cars, they're going to do more shopping on financing online? What are your thoughts?
No, I think inventory will get back to pre-pandemic levels. I think it's a matter of time. I'm seeing more inventory come in. Was at our store last week at the Sutherlin Nissan Mall of Georgia. We literally had, I don't know, 51 cars that came in last month. We've got 180 coming in this month. I'm seeing inventory start to come back. And look, at the end of the day, manufacturers can say, hey, we're more profitable this way. Dealers are more profitable this way. But guess what? One person can change that entire dynamic. So pick a manufacturer. That guy says, hey, you know what? We're going to gain market share. We're going to produce the heck out of cars right now. The others will follow. That's the bottom line. So I think this is will it happen overnight? No, but I think in time it will get back to pre-pandemic levels.
Well, Anthony Santangelo says that's awesome. The inventory is coming in for your Nissan stores. And, and then you got David Ball here. If that is the case, will it be another race to the bottom?
And Becky, before you and I got on the show, that's why used car acquisition is so important. Yes, it will get to the point where it is a race to the bottom again. Absolutely. There's no way that this will hold. It's impossible. I'm already seeing, really hot cars. I'm seeing the addendums are far less than they used to be. As inventory continues to come in, it's going to drop even more. So ultimately, somebody just said on the vehicle, it's all about used car acquisition. And that is the name of the game. If dealers want to maintain this profitability that they've gotten used to maintaining, it is used car acquisition. How do you do something better than the next guy in acquiring used cars?
Well, that's what I've been looking at, frankly. I mean, I have been looking at watching the used car marketplace because I see so many different variables going on right now and how it can affect um, customers financing for that much. Because again, if in the event the values aren't there, and then we have customers who might have some slow pay or derogatory credit, otherwise known as having some subprime credit, how is that going to affect that book of business? Tell me, how does that affect that book of business, especially with these interest rates rising? Customers can only afford so much. You tell me.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we're going to feel the recession. Maybe not on the new car front because you have enough off lease cars coming where most dealers have just not even enough inventory to fulfill those. I mean, I'm seeing banks extending leases 6 months because of the problem, right?
Right.
So I think the interest rates are going to affect the subprime buyer. They're going to affect the used car market. We're the number one CPO dealer for Nissan in the nation. We're
Wow.
also,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
You also have I didn't mean to cut you off. You're right. Yes. Sorry.
I mean, that's where we're hanging our hat right now because you do get subvented rates and you do get it's a little easier in that game. So we embraced the CPO game years ago, and our stores are big volume stores. Now, the key for us is, in my background, is technology. I started a company, Fusion Zone Automotive. We had thousands of dealers, built websites and handled digital marketing, sold that to private equity. did it again with lead revenue, sold that to private equity. We as a dealer group are building our own technology in house that I think is going to give us a major competitive advantage. And when, like we were talking before,
Mhm.
when you have the F&I skills that our team has, and you understand the role used cars play, that's the key to success, in my opinion.
Well, it certainly is, and the 2 just go hand in hand, and how to read that. Okay, so let me throw this at you. Well, before we do that, how many stores do you have?
We have 12 currently. We're building 5 currently, and I'm actually closing on another dealership on Monday.
Congratulations. So, are you predominantly located in Georgia as well as Florida? How many, right? Is that
Florida
right?
and Georgia, and then our new acquisition is going to be in Tennessee that we close on Monday.
Congratulations. Now, you have one of the largest Nissan stores in the country, and I believe that's at the Mall of Georgia.
We have a
No?
lot of big volume Nissan stores.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
a large volume store. Um, Fort Myers is actually larger than the Mall of
Oh, wow.
Georgia.
Okay.
Orlando also is bigger than the Mall of Georgia. So we
Okay.
have 3 of the top 10 Nissan stores in the nation.
Well, you need to make sure that you got that stuff corrected online. So when I go and check up on you, I can get my facts straight. But that's why you're on tonight. That's why I'm asking, you these questions. I am so impressed by that. So, okay. So, all right. So we have some questions here, and then I'll get to my questions and comments. Do you mind?
Not at all.
Okay, good. Um, Anthony Santangelo says if it does get back to a race to the bottom, also known as fighting for the mini deal, it's imperative to mentally prepare salespeople for the adjustment that is needed in moving forward. What are your thoughts there? Because
No
there's a
question.
lot of conversation on that.
Yeah, Anthony was at our dealership recruiting salespeople. It's going to be a different skill set, right? Let's just face it. The salespeople, I've not seen anything like what we've just seen in the last 2 years. I've got salespeople more than I can count on 2 hands that are making more than $500,000 a year. I mean, you're not going to be order takers anymore. It's going to get back to how it used to be. And again, just as I've been saying the entire time, the key to maintaining this profitability is used cars, and that needs to be what salespeople are focused on right now.
Okay. So the used car department certainly, and it has been driving that performance over the past 2 years. Yes? Or a year and a half?
Yeah, it's definitely, and that's one thing that we're looking for in acquisitions is people that haven't embraced the used car market, and you'd be surprised. There's quite a few out there. We have
Yeah, I am surprised. I am surprised that, because you would think that this is the only way to really make an impact right now. It kind of reminds me of 2008,
yeah,
right? I
it
mean, in a
does.
way. Because dealers were impacting their performance profits through the used car department in 2008, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right on.
Yeah, I kind of thought that kind of, what happened. So it is important that we're seeing this. Now, I'm going to ask you another off the wall kind of crazy question. And how do you see? And I do see this as a big This is a big story in refinancing. And I'm watching the market because that's what I do. And I'm seeing that more and more refi companies are popping up. They're just lining up. They're all over the place. They are there. And then you've got tech companies, insurance companies now that are offering customers the opportunity to refi, right? And then you've got, of course, you always had the credit unions to offer refinancing options. And that's always been for a long time. So with all these guys in the game, and believe me, these guys are serious. Island is one, Trezzy's another, Caribou is another. They're out here. They're waiting. And here's the other issue is the fact that predominantly, I'm not saying your store, but I am saying that many dealers aren't in the refi business. They really just haven't wrapped their heads around this deal. And there's a lot of reasons for that, because you have lender agreements that don't allow a dealer, prohibit a dealer from doing refis. So you got to do a lot of stupid stuff to try to put these refi deals together, which dealers are not going to do. I mean, not everyone. There are dealers out there that may decide to do onesies or twosies, but that's the problem, because it's onesies or twosies. They're not really internalizing that workflow with refis. So the issue that I see here is that dealers are actually kind of like a sitting duck right now with the economy that it's tightening up, especially, and I don't know how you guys do your pay plans and that sort of stuff, but we have dealers out there that everybody's different. And so some of these guys just, pay on the total profit of the deal, right? You shake your head at these freaking 20 group meetings, I know, but it happens. And the thing is that it's reserve driven, maybe some vehicle service contract here or gap there. So now that you got F&I people who are rate hogs, it's all they look for in making their income or their profit. And now these customers, they're not making, they're having a hard time making these payments, and they're going to these refis. How are dealers handling the excessive chargebacks today, do you think?
Yeah, look, just as you know, it's an issue, and will continue to be more of an issue. Um, I think you'll see a lot of that be the demise of some dealers. I think that is ultimately going to force them to sell their business. It's something that I think a lot of people aren't paying close attention to. They're not following it as a percentage, and they should be, because right now in this time, it's very easy to get buried in your own paper, right?
Yeah,
It
it
really,
is.
100%.
I mean, I know I'm kind of asking some deep questions here, something that's a little bit different that we're not used to looking at. We're not used to looking at refi. We're not used to wrapping our heads around how can refi work for us and make a difference for our stores. So, but these are things that really can make a difference, and is a part of, I guess, that big picture thinking and realizing what's really happening in the industry. And I think that that's just one thing right there that dealers aren't necessarily paying attention to, along with the used car market. Um, David Collins says retention of customers is incredibly important. Being able to constantly trade customers out of vehicles that the dealer knows via service is paramount to maintain the customer or constant or keep buyers available.
No question. I think this is another place where dealers don't do a good job in maintaining their database and marketing to their own database. It kind of goes back to a used car buying center, right? Where's the best place to buy your cars? Is from your current customers. When you dive into most dealers' DMS systems, we pay an outside company that constantly is mining our data, and they're finding what numbers are incorrect, what email addresses are incorrect. Does that person own the car still? That's a large expense, and that's something that we're highly engaged in and month out at every dealership. Because why would I want to waste money or email blast efforts if the person doesn't even own the car anymore, right? Or if the person is an invalid email address. We'll go into a dealership that we're buying that's been around for 20 years and see that 70% of their data is garbage. So
Wow.
it's something that will really also give you a competitive advantage.
Well, I think that that's super important, and making sure that you're actually marketing to customers that you truly have,
Right.
right? That are rock solid, just like the same thing that I go through when I try to market to dealers to make sure that, hey, I still have a current list that makes any sense, right?
Absolutely.
It's so important. But good question there. So we got David Ball. He is on a roll over here. David, how does killer technology drive up opportunities? And I think you kind of talked a little bit through that,
Yeah, I
but
touched on that. We're creating our own opportunities, right? We're creating our own technology. We'll spend $1 million this year in development. And we're launching a used car buy center platform that is second to none. I mean, it's going to make CarMax look obsolete. So, it's having that infrastructure. I have a background, obviously, in technology,
Yes, you do.
auto industry.
Yes.
So yeah, we're doing it all in house right now, and I think that is going to drive opportunities. Cleaning your database drives opportunities. It just all goes hand in hand.
Well, I'm going to ask you another question, a little out there question. So in 2008, because somewhat older anyway, been around a little bit, but two, 2008, I often wondered why dealers didn't take a lot of that financing in house. I know it seemed like risk, but if they would have just listened, it, I, you know, so you build your own kind of guideline, right? And your own portfolio, how you want that business to perform, similar to reinsurance, right? Are you thinking of bringing in-house financing in? Not necessarily like high interest rate, but
It is
really,
absolutely, it is
you with
something
me?
we're looking at, just like a dealer-owned warranty company. There's
Yeah,
no difference, and you have some big players in the market that are
yeah,
starting to embrace that, and
yeah.
I think that is going to be a trend that you see that is taking hold, 100%.
Yeah, I do see the advantage in that. And I know companies that work with dealers on that. And it's a very interesting concept because now they're able to sell that all or to securitize it. And there's so much opportunity with that book of business, isn't it? It's amazing. Um, for people like us that appreciate that F&I, I thought, why not? Why wouldn't dealers want to go ahead and do that? Why are we sending that kind of book, that kind of business to some of these higher interest rate lenders or high not only interest rate but high lender fees, right,
No
on
question.
top of
I
all
think
of
we're
that?
gonna see more and more of that in the next decade for sure.
So these guys need to be paying attention because you know what? I put a poll out there for some of these guys, and I don't know if you were paying attention to that particular poll. I know you pay attention to some of them. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. But these polls, this one poll said, "Are you totally out of your mind, Chernik? What could you be thinking about bringing in-house financing in for dealers that is such a huge risk?" But you know what? If it's done correctly, like you said, DOWC, if it's done correctly, man, you're being able to manage your own business, right? You can set up your own guidelines as far as that goes. So I've got some questions here. So imagine how many auction fees you could put to the bottom line if you purchased your inventory from your current customers.
Bingo. Yep, exactly what I've been saying. You're spending on average close to $500 in buy fees, depending on the price of the car, and 150 on transportation. Go do the math. You buy 50 cars a month, it's exorbitantly expensive. You'd be much better off with the right technology, um, and the right message and the right marketing. You're going to be buying better cars that are better priced, and the dealership's going to make a lot more money. No question. You could say, hey, I'm going to take half of my budget that I spend on auction fees and transportation. I'm going to throw that into marketing, and I'm going to find the best technology out there. That is a recipe for printing money.
Don't you just love this stuff? This is great stuff. Okay. Thank you so much, Domingo. Appreciate it. Have every wonderful Becky. Thank you. Okay. Risk equal reward. And then Joe says, could Brett elaborate whether or not, maybe, I don't know, I'm just kidding, whether or not he is attempting to obtain cars from service customers? Does he feel that this is an effective acquisition area? Go ahead. And I've got something to say about that.
Huge acquisition area. We are appraising every car that comes into service. So yes, absolutely. And it's all about process. That is our number one area of acquisition. No question. Number two is
Yeah.
your database and data mining. But 100% service is the lowest hanging fruit in your dealership. We have a centralized BDC that works all of our service departments, do a fantastic job, and I mean, probably contributes to half of the gross profit from sales on a monthly basis.
So let me ask you a question. With your technology, are you utilizing like Mastermind? Do you utilize Auto Alert? Are you pulling in from that? Is that who you're? No. Are you
No,
using your own
correct. We're using our own.
to be able to determine that? So you're able during that service drive, walk, or whatever. You already know where that customer is. You know whether or not what you can put on that car to get the customer in or out of that car to buy that car. Is that right?
Yeah, we're rolling out a retail interface where customers will be able to get definitive numbers of what we'll write a check for a car immediately, um, and that is rolling out November 1. So I would encourage everybody to look at this. As I said, it's $1 million that we're spending in technology, and I think it'll be mind blowing. That's going to be in every Sutherlin store November 1st, and I think it's going
Mm.
to put us a decade ahead of the competition.
Well, I do know that I was just on this one talk, and they were the other day, and what they were talking about where Walmart is right now in their service, and they're doing the same thing. They are buying these cars. They are, CarMax has always been there. CarMax has been there forever long and a day, back to 25 years ago, when they were Circuit City. But I remember back then they were like, "Come on in, no worries. We'll go ahead and give you a buy number on that trade." And I'm like, "What the frick are they thinking?"
Yeah,
Well,
oh,
believe
that's
me,
one of the keys to their success.
it
There's
re
no question,
mhm.
and this is the area that's going to determine how big you win. There's no question. This is the number one recipe for success right now.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you right now here, because now I'm brave. But but here's the thing. I would love to show you the technology when it comes to these refi and how to make life a lot easier. You can do it on the service drive. We can do it in at the desk. We can do it in F&I. It's a lot of different ways to go ahead and swing that bat, and I'd love to show you how that all is done, because it's a part of it. I mean, when we can
No, it's
talk
a
to
huge component, and I would love to have myself and senior execs on that call and look at it.
Perfect. Wonderful. I'm gonna do that with you. Okay, so let's talk David Collins. Do you see the banking community finally going to flats on all finance deals, only allowing controlled back end minus finance reserve? Good question, David.
Um, Not in the immediate future is my answer. Not in the
Okay.
immediate future.
I think the reason where
Been
he's going with
talking about this, Becky, for what,
a
15
long
years?
time,
In a
yeah,
long time,
yeah.
right? So, I don't see any massive waves being made of "We're closer, we're closer, we're closer." Do I think it's inevitable that this happens in the future? Yes, but I think we have a ways to go.
Well, I think some of this it makes sense because, well, this auto finance news. You see that article with Auto Finance News recently? Well, it's just actually August 31st. God, time goes by quick. So basically, there's talking about how these lenders are starting to freak out because there's so many repos. And you got a lot of rate hogs out there, and these customers, they are refinancing. They are finding ways out of this stuff, and lenders are getting hit left and right. So I guess some of this conversation is coming back up again because it's like, you know what? Let's go back to flats. This 90-day thing isn't working out, and certainly doesn't do us any favors. So it could be something along those lines. And Dwight, absolutely. It's certainly saved. I save it on LinkedIn. It's being broadcast on Facebook as well as YouTube. So if you guys like this, please go ahead and subscribe and share. All right. We got Tony Dunn. Will Sutherland Automotive Group acquire more dealerships in Atlanta? Ooh,
100%. We have 2 under LOI right
wow. How many dealerships do you want to have there?
now. You know what? It's we believe in our strategy, and we're in growth mode. President of our company, Mike Spinazzi, has been with Sutherlin since he graduated from college. Terrific guy. He's had one job since college. Young, aggressive, and has the exact same mindset that I do. So we have managing partners in most of our stores where they actually buy in to real equity. We have very, very little turnover at the senior management level. Period. Even to the salespeople, right? I mean, it's a very, very secure work environment where with COVID, with the increased profitability, we didn't penalize salespeople. We didn't say, "Hey, we're going to cut your commissions," or general managers, we're gonna cut you. We're gonna change your pay plan. I mean, I've got general managers making $5 million a year right now. I mean, it's significant. So we're going to use our exact same model, and we're going to grow. I think in the next 5 years, we'll be 30 to 40 stores.
I love it. You're gonna go ahead and prove your dad right. What a good son. And okay, so sounds like a major game changer for auto dealers and a super smart move to end 2022 strong and start out 23 with a bang. I don't know who this is. If you could let me know, it's your name is not coming in. You didn't hit the LinkedIn or the StreamYard link. Would it benefit the customer more to buy the car from the client versus refi and sell them another car? Now, that is a good question. Would it benefit the customer more to buy the car? So you have a couple things working here. So don't shut yourself out. The customer can come in and sell them another car. Why wouldn't you want to sell them another car? I would want to sell them another car if I could. But if you can't, then you're keeping the customer in the same marketplace from somebody else.
But Becky, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Why, if you can't trade that customer out, what makes you think you can get them refinanced? The reason you can't take them out is negative equity.
Could be negative equity, but you can still go ahead and maybe even lower their interest rate and lower their payment and keep it in the market.
Depending on how long they've had the car, right?
Now, here's the other thing that a lot of these dealers are not thinking about, which I would have you consider as you're desking a deal. How many times, especially these guys, what they see, the tools that we have today, we never had before. Think about, the Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. You can upgrade to be able to do a soft pull and see the customer's interest rate and payment. Yes, on these other the other loans that they have right out. So why wouldn't you look at that auto loan that they currently have that they're not trading in? And if in the event you could refinance that, would you not want to do that so that way they could afford the new car payment? So these are things that we have to look at different than what we hadn't done before, because we haven't done it before. We really haven't thought through that. But now that we have those tools to be able to do that, instantaneous. It's quick. It's on the drive. It doesn't take anything to do it. It's a widget. That's what I love about it. And then from there, we're able to utilize, if we're not utilizing it on the desk, shame on the desk managers, but I would always utilize it in F&I. Okay, game over. It's my turn. So I'm going to utilize that to be able to, the customer can't afford the payment with the additional products. Let's take a look at this. Let's see what we can do here. There's a lot we can do with it. Absolutely all day long, especially now, more so than ever. Isn't this point relative to safeguard rules? Not exactly sure what you mean by that, David. But everything is driven through a soft pull. It is not. It's so it's a. Now you have to. It's a pre-screen. It's not a pre-approval, right? So there's terms you have to be careful of when you go into this, but everything is done. All the due diligence is done. Pig eats, hogs get slaughtered. That's what I say. Be a pig. Dude, we need to get together. David Ball wants to get together with you. See, I told you, everybody loves you. Synergizes, pair up. Let's do it. Amy Shelton, thank you for being here. I'm glad you're here with us tonight. Brett's awesome, isn't he? You can drive out the team
The term, yeah.
Oh, the term as well. Sorry. I'm thinking what team? Better eyes than me. So you can drive out the term as well. Exactly. So I'm hoping that dealers really utilize the tool and not extend the term, because the whole idea is bringing the customer back in. We want to bring the customer back in 2 years down the road, and then think of it this way: when a customer has when we have to utilize a higher term, or no higher term, higher interest rate, then of course, or yeah, higher interest rate, we can often say, within a 12-month period, depending on, how your FICO score responds, we can actually bring it back into refi. And this time you actually could do that. So there's some things here that has some serious meat on the bone. There are dealers in Atlanta advertising refi to keep customers in the vehicle versus repos. Well, I don't know exactly how they're doing it, but I don't know. But I can tell you that this is certainly innovative. And I pulled this technology in from a tech company that was utilizing it with insurance providers. So that's why I really feel like it is pressing, it is new, and I can't wait to show it to you. So you can take a look at what we're doing here. Hey, Adam Aarons, in many states, the dealer's prohibited. That's exactly right. So from refinancing a vehicle, unless they take ownership of it and sell it back to the customer. That's exactly the case. Adam, I absolutely agree with that. So dealers cannot do this with their lender because of their lender agreements prohibit refinancing. It's not the states, it's the lender agreement. It has nothing to do with the state. What happens is that the dealer is trying to buy the vehicle back to get out from under that lender agreement. And when they do, they end up charging the customer tax twice. That gets them into a tax situation which isn't good. And or not only so now do we charge the tax twice, but then you're trying to pass off, misrepresent the contract, which in turn opens up the dealer for recourse. That's not what this is. So it takes that out of the equation, and where we're exchanging that relationship with the customer and broker or network. And it's really dialed in. It's really cool, but that's the long and short of it without getting into the really meat of it. But Adam, I'd be happy to talk to you about it as well. But it's very, very clever. And it meets, I contact several different attorneys myself. But dealers, I always recommend that you contact your legal counsel and always seek a knowledgeable dealer counsel when it comes to this. But I'm telling you, I think I got this. This is a really brilliant way to get out from under this whole thing. But good. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate your feedback. Call me tomorrow and I will fill you in. I will, David. You definitely need to fill me in, because I got to tell you, I've got some technology that this is new. This isn't something that this is cutting edge. Here have to go. Becky, Brett, let's chat soon. You got it, David. He likes you. I'm telling you, we got a good friend there. Look who it is, Stephen Apicella. So there are so many examples of successful modern retail before and after any sale that earns a reoccurring customer again and again. Our great industry must get beyond the one-time transaction mindset. If anyone is interested in the lifetime value of customers, F&I Beyond the Menu presentation and refi are two untapped revenue conduits. And I got to tell you, do you know Stephen Apicella, Brad? Brad,
I don't.
sorry. Yes?
I do not know.
You don't know him. Well, here's another technology that is really off. I mean, this is really cool stuff. So I met Stephen Apicella about 3 years ago, or before COVID. And he has technology that actually makes this, he automates the process in that we can get the product in front of the customer after delivery. He does, right? So we know that dealers have always had We've tried the aftermarket solution, right, of getting products in front of the customer, whether it be from the F&I perspective, whether it be from service, and not many of us have much luck doing that. I'm not quite sure. Um, what is your aftermarket process all about? Is it pretty successful? What do you guys do?
I think we could probably do it. That's an area we probably could do a better job. No question.
Then this is by far the best way to do it because here again, the reason why I say that, just automate it. Because every time we try to go ahead and get humans involved, it just doesn't work. It's just, I don't know. It just falls. It sounds like a great idea at the time, but it never seems to come together. But not only that, and I'll let Steven go into that whole thing. He explains his business so much better than I do, but he also, the claim processing is so much easier. So that app, that customer bin attaches to all the products in the dealership. There's not a time that a customer can go in to service and be told that a product that they purchased they don't have. Everything is available to the service manager to assure claim handling and efficiency. It's really dynamic. So I'll do this if you don't mind. I'd rather not butcher everything, but for Stephen Sullivan, he's phenomenal. He really is. And if you don't mind, I'll have him reach out to you. And
Yeah, just send me a DM on LinkedIn, and we'll set up time to talk.
he's brilliant. He really is. He's a terrific person. I think you'll like him a lot. Okay. So Joe says, can't imagine how busy this man is. What a great dealer. He is freaking amazing. A sincere thanks to him for sharing his extensive industry insight, knowledge, and expertise. Soon,
Absolutely.
so appreciative. No, you really are. And I think that's what makes you so cool. And that's when I notice your videos. And I'm like, it's not oftentimes, let's face it, that we get dealers. I mean, other than Adam Aarons, I love Adam Aarons. You know Adam, right? Do you know Adam? You know Adam. He's not, hard not to know. I mean, he's been around forever long in the day. In fact, he was my boss. I had to report to Adam Aarons when I was doing menu selling at the AutoNation stores. But he was a terrific person to go ahead and report to, I guess. I know. Good guy. And so, yeah. So the thing is a lot of times you don't find a dealer forthcoming, right? That's as realistic as to hitting us with some authentic, real stuff, what's happening in the industry today. How else can I say that? But that way. And so I'm going to ask you another question. And my question is, oh, David says, good old JM family days. Yeah, the best in the industry. Anyway, so I'm just messing around. So single point sales associates. There's a lot of talk about the single point sales associates. And how do you feel about that? Meaning these are the guys that or gals that are not only selling the car, they're doing the sales of the car, but they're also presenting menus and I guess closing customers on product sales.
Yeah, I'm not a fan whatsoever. I think that the biggest problem in most dealerships is they have salespeople, right? A salesperson, naturally, a customer is going to think that salesperson talks and negotiates price. In our environment, I want to have product specialists. I want our salespeople to be the best of the best and truly know the product better than any one of our competitors. If we can achieve that, then that's where they need to draw the line. They're simply the product experts, the product specialist, and I like getting away from that salesperson. And the only thing that I think could be worse is your salesperson's your product specialist, he's your salesperson, and he's your F&I manager. It's setting yourself up for a massive disaster in my book.
Okay, so let me ask you this, and I'm doing this because I'm just asking, and how do you feel about salespeople endorsing F&I products?
It's a tough conversation. A salesperson endorsing an F&I product and talking about it is different than a salesperson doing F&I, right?
Okay.
They're
Yes.
they're different. So to endorse a, for a salesperson to turn around and give the customer a tip before they go into F&I could greatly help the finance manager. And look, at the end of the day, by most pay plans, it'll also reward the salesperson. So there's a fine balance there. But, I do not think that anybody, a salesperson, should be the product specialist, work numbers, when they get inside the store and have the customer finance the car. I would put our numbers up against any dealer group our size in the nation from a finance perspective, and I think that they would they would see logically that it's not the best solution.
Yes. And okay. So, all right. I do believe in, um, I do think that perhaps maybe in a Highline store where a different, um, different type of calibers, it's a much slower type environment where I think we could do something along those lines.
Yeah, that's a different scenario, and I don't have. We have a
You don't
Genesis
have that.
dealership. We're not a Highline dealer,
No.
right? We're a volume mainstream dealer for mainstream cars,
Yeah.
and in our scenario, that doesn't work, right? If I go
I
and
can't
look,
even
I've gone
imagine.
to many Highline stores and bought cars personally, and I could see the benefit in that scenario. You know, not in the scenario of the dealerships that I have.
Well, it'd be kind of difficult because you're dealing with a different you got customers all over the spectrum, right? You got a full spectrum of customers. You got some prime, you got some middle, and then you got some subprime. And how's that going to work? We need to figure out. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I've always trained. Let's figure this out sooner rather than later. Let's
Makes sense.
let's make sure we know what we've got before this freaking deal blows up on me, right?
And
And
look, I think it's even harder when you've got the guy that does it all and you've got a subprime customer.
amen.
A lot harder.
I just, I look at certain states, like you got, where's Walter located? Walter Automotive Group.
Not familiar.
They're, oh gosh, I can't remember, but so I did Walter Auto, I don't know, one of them M states, I think, I don't know, but I did the average FICO score and it turned out to be like 720.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, I can understand that makes some sense because you have.
Oh yeah, that'll make some sense. Then try to go to Lithia Springs, Georgia, where it's not going to make any sense at all, right?
And then you go ahead. I remember, I'll never forget when we had the Stone Mountain stores.
Yeah.
Eh, right? Is that Lithia? Yeah, Lithia down the street was Douglasville. But even that was, oh, look at your dog. So it was night and day. It's night and day from Alpharetta to Stone Mountain, right? And
Night and
how
day,
that
yeah.
whole, but we still had to figure out how to go ahead and manage that. Do you believe in a separate subprime department?
No, I don't. I think it should be worked by the same desk managers, and I think your F&I people should be versed in both.
Yeah. I remember having some of these stores having a separate subprime department,
And
and
I
it
still
was,
see it to this day.
yeah, it just used to blow me away. And I'm like, well, how do you dictate that? What happens? When does it happen? Well, Becky, if the FICO score is 620 and below, we walk the customer across the street.
That sure makes them feel good, doesn't it?
That just sure does. Darth Vader comes on over and picks up the customer and drags him across the street. So those are, certainly a tough way to go. Um, so, okay, so I'm going to ask you about. We have a little bit of time left. So I wanted to ask you. I know that you're not an advocate for the completing the that completing the online loan approval process, right? Where you're allowing, I don't even know if you have something along those lines on your website where you allow the customer to complete the digital online experience to finalizing um, finalizing the loan. The dog. Oh, bless his heart. Oh, now what kind of dog is that?
That's a Papillon. So I'll tell you, no, I do not. I do not think twofold. Digital retailing is has been the buzzword in this industry for a very long time. It hasn't gained traction, right? I think having a customer not want to step foot in a dealership, maybe again you have some highline exceptions, is not what the most people want. I think you're still going to be, digital retail is still going to be a buzzword 15 years from now, but you're still going to have customers that want to go into the dealership and figure out what the difference between a Toyota Camry and a Nissan Altima are, right? So it goes the same with uh, getting approved, doing all your financing online. I think it is the same mindset. There's a lot of people that say, "Hey, Carvana is a great example." Carvana is saying, "Hey, we're going to come and pick up your car that we buy from you, and we're going to give you a check." Well, my God, if you do that, look at all the upsell side that you're missing. What are the people doing when they replace the car? They're buying another car, right?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting stat, but we do a good job buying cars. Each store, well, our bigger stores buy about 100 a month off of their database, and out of those 100, 60% that weren't planning on buying a new car do, right? So I think the dealership experience still needs to be an in-person experience. That goes from financing, that goes from digital retailing, it goes, across the board to even buying your car. Becky, you fill out something on Sutherlin, we're going to give you a cash offer for your car that is higher than CarMax, that's higher than Car Gurus, that's higher than everybody. But guess what? You've got to drive down and bring your car to us, right? There's a good chance you buy a new car. There's a good chance, even if you don't, we've acquired a car, you're going to come down to see us because we're giving you $2,000 more than CarMax is, right? There's, I think there's a method to the madness, and if you allow vendors to talk yourself into going straight virtual on everything, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot.
That's one way of saying it. But you know what I think? I think it's okay to start the process online. Here's
Starting the process online is great, but you're not going to have the majority of your people. That's even an understatement. That start the process and finish the process online and get the car delivered to their
yeah,
house.
yeah. I agree. I agree with that. I think it's cool to go ahead, give some ownership there.
Yeah,
Let them have fun. Let them self-desk a little bit. Who cares? I mean, the more ownership you want to take, fine with me. I'd rather you did it. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, I want you in the dealership. The reason why I say that, Brian Kramer, you probably know Brian Kramer, the GM or the prior GM
yep.
with Jermaine. And he is the digital kingpin of all. But one of the things he certainly agreed with the same ideal in that starting the process online, getting that customer in to finalizing the loan, because there's so many different variables that we have to pay attention to. But one of the things that I like about what he did create the experience from online to in dealership. He didn't make people start all over again.
There's an absolute place for that, and they should be able to seamlessly pick up. I agree with that strategy
Yeah.
100%. The strategy I don't agree with is that we're moving to a complete online transaction because I
Yeah.
don't think we are, and I don't think we ever will.
No, I agree with you there. I mean, I think though it's important for customers to feel as if they're taking control of the situation. That goes way back to the time when we implemented menu selling. Back in the day, I met customers at the kiosk in the middle of the showroom. Do you remember those days? And it was
100%.
crazy. And everybody said it was crazy. We're not dragging customers into an F&I office. We're meeting customers on their terms out of the kiosk. And that's really what this is. That's why I really wanted to start off this conversation this way, because that was really an odd thing to do back then. It was really strange. And it was like, well, let me see if I get this right, Becky. We want to go ahead, present this base payment. Customer understands all the terms of the sale, and all the payments are at the bottom of the menu based on the options that the customer chooses. And you're going to present this at a kiosk in the middle of the showroom, and everybody's going to say, okay. And it blew everybody away, didn't it?
To this day, I'm still dumbfounded by it.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So here's the thing. As long as a customer feels in control of the buying process, that's really what this is. And, in gaining that ownership when they get into the dealership, right? And to make it so it's much easier to buy a vehicle. We can keep it more efficient. We can take the stuff off the floor. We can take the documents off the floor. And how many in your stores, and I know you do a lot of used car business, but in your new car business, what do you think, what's the percentage of e-contracting do you think that you're at right now?
It's high.
That's good.
It's high. It's in the high 80s.
That's really strong, which has really, has gone up significantly in the last year on e-contracting.
No question. But it makes all the sense in the world.
So, Brad, before we close, is there anything that we didn't talk about that we need to talk about that I didn't cover that you'd like
No, I
to?
think we covered quite a bit. I think if I had to say one thing, I think it's technology to have the competitive advantage, and really working your database, cleaning your database. The company we use, by the way, for that is a fairly new company called the Auto Miner. They're the best in the business. So that is something we're not doing in house. They're appending email addresses and cell phone numbers, and probably I've vetted quite a few vendors. They're the best I've seen. So that is a critical part. Working your database, working service, buying cars, saving money with those transaction fees, with auctions and transportation. It's a no brainer.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think really it is about that, really thinking outside the box, but keeping mindful of the basics, and at the same time, understanding that technology and how it can really impact results, but understanding it inside and out, not letting it take over what you do and how you do your business. Sticking to what you know, but utilizing it to your best potential is a really key. And
That's
that's why, go ahead.
absolutely,
Yeah, I got
absolutely.
that. So I believe that, and that's kind of where my career has gone. I try to look at things from every aspect, and figure out, is there a better way we can do things? Is there a better way we can impact performance and keep the customer coming back for more? Because we don't want to do this. I'm not one to reinvent the wheel if I don't have to.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you again. It was certainly a pleasure to have you on here with me tonight. And guys, thank you again for being here with us tonight as well. And let's just call it a day. And I think we're ready to go. And I will go ahead and make it happen. Let's do it. Thank you. Bye. 'Cause I'm a